What's up, all you hitchhikers? Welcome back to another episode of The Strange Road. I'm your host, Mikey, as always, riding shotgun. Bub.
What's up?
Stoner and Disbro and Master Control, making everything look and sound awesome. And we have an awesome show for all of you tonight. We have an awesome guest. Bub, first things first, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm
Feeling good?
I had a great day.
Yeah. Today was a wild day.
Don't steer me in a direction we can't recover from.
We're not going into GameStop territory right now.
Don't even say the name. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
We were gonna have an emergency GameStop live stream where Bob just ranted for 45 minutes.
It's so close. Feels like Nostradamus had this in like his fourth quatrain.
Oh my god. So, all right, we're already off track. Let's get back on track. And I'm actually going to introduce our guest tonight. We have researcher, podcaster, YouTuber, Berton Moran, local legends, everybody. Burton, how the heck are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Absolutely.
Dude, we're super, super stoked to have you. One great thing about Burton, just like all around one of the nicest, coolest dudes ever. First things first, he's been supporting our show and tuning into our live streams and active member in the chat that always has great information, letting us know about so many things that, like, dude, how many things has Burton hooked us up with that we had no clue about?
Right.
And that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this episode.
That's that network, too, that's kind of being built of, like, that relay of information that, hey, did you hear about this? Like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what's going on with the contacts, you know, that we kind of, like, start reaching out to now. And we're like, man, that was great. Like, we get hit up by a lot of people, but Burton is definitely, like, hit the nail on the head and has kind of the nose for the strange.
Yes, he does. And we appreciate all the support. You know, Burton, how did you get down this road? Were you kind of a weird kid like we were, just into strange things, you know, finally found a community of people? Because you're really active in a lot of the Weird Fam, the Holosky, kind of Appalachian Intelligence and Bigfoot Society and all the creators, you know. So have you always had this itch to research strange topics?
Oh, absolutely. One of my earliest memories is like seeing a ghost in our house when I was a kid, my parents explaining to me what it was. And pretty much ever since then, it's always been, this is a thing, this is real. And, you know, a lot of people don't even try to talk about it.
Right.
But I think that's one of the things that makes me want to talk about it even more, is like some people just write it off as absolutely nothing. But if seeing is believing, then I'm a believer. Yeah. Because I've seen some things that are just unexplainable.
When you say
ever since then,
on,
it's just been like.
Yeah, when you say early on, how early on? Like 6, 7, 10, 12, like
5.
There you go. Okay.
So your parents were aware of the ghost or whatever you saw?
Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody was aware of it. It was very interesting. Whenever I was a kid, if I got scared at night, I'd go sleep on the floor in my parents' room next to my mom. And I mean, technically it was on reservation land, but we lived 5 miles out of town. My dad owned a junkyard, and he took basically a bunch of mobile homes and he put 5 or 6 of them together. So we had a really big house, but it was all laid out kind of like almost like a maze of houses that you had to go through. But
wow.
Some of the earlier homes that he put together, like that's where the paranormal first started happening. And so many experiences happened on the junkyard alone that we were bringing in cars that people had died in, and then we'd experience something different.
Oh, sure.
It was insane.
Wow.
There's just so many different things were happening.
So you said it was also by reservation land as well?
It technically is reservation land. I'm part Native American. Okay. My dad was a tribal member till he passed, obviously. Then I'm also a tribal member. My kids can become tribal members, but I haven't done the paperwork on that.
Okay.
We'll skip over that. But so basically they'll give, if you're a member, you can get the land or all that kind of stuff. You fill out the paperwork, they'll hand the land over to you. My dad started his business there of the junkyard. So technically once it's his, it's his. It's no longer. Even though it was tribal land, it technically will eventually go back. But right now, it's not. Okay. It's still in my family.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, my dad started a junkyard out there. I went to a school that was literally bordering the reservation. I had friends that were both Native American, white, basically everybody that was there. I was friends with everybody, but I am part Native American myself. And a lot, like my cousins and stuff, if you saw me and them together, you'd be like, no way. First cousins.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You'd be
That's
like,
hilarious.
What's this guy doing with these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you really grew up in a supercharged paranormal environment.
Right.
You know, and you know, when you said your dad would build these houses, do you think like the orientation of how he was building the houses,
like trapping energy,
like the geometry of the structures in some way can kind of, I don't know. That's just what I thought of when you're talking about.
It's an interesting thought, but I don't think that because the design was more like one trailer, branch off to another trailer, branch off to another trailer, down to another one.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of like a zigzag pattern. So I wouldn't think it was set up in any kind of a symbol that would attract the paranormal.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think just the things that were attached to these vehicles or to the houses before my dad bought them, the mobile homes and stuff.
Sure.
Right. I don't know. I don't know exactly what was going on there, but it was a hot spot.
So, but like your parents are seeing this. I don't know if you have siblings, if you did or do, were they seeing this as well? Like, so when you say everyone knew, like the whole family from mom down to all the kids.
I'm the youngest of 12.
Okay. All right.
So everybody that was in the house while I was growing up, which was 4 of us.
Yeah.
Including myself, and the other ones are already grown up at this point.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And basically everybody that was in the house was seeing it. And then it branched out to where my parents would have guests over and they would see this thing. And it's an old lady. I say thing, but
sure.
I mean, with this old lady, and she would, she was what we call a residual haunting because she would just do the same thing over and over.
Same spot, same location.
Same spot.
Yeah.
She would show up, appear in our bathroom, walk across the hall into my brother's room and my sister's room because we shared one at the time. And then the lady would walk back into the bathroom and then disappear. And like full body apparition, same thing. It didn't happen every night, but it happened damn near every night.
Wow.
And like I said, it got to the point where we were seeing it in the middle of the day and it was no big deal, you know? But my dad would have friends over, they'd be drinking coffee and they'd just be sitting there and talking. And I remember I was in the kitchen this time. One of my dad's friends goes, "Oh, I didn't realize you had company," thinking he was overstaying his welcome or some crap. And he's like, "No, what are you talking about?
Nobody there."
"Oh, I think, isn't that your mother-in-law that I just saw?" Because my mom's white. This is a white lady. And they're like, "Oh, no, I'm pretty sure she was white. I can't remember exactly." But they were like, "I just saw a woman walk across the hall there." And my dad's like, "Oh, no. That's just a ghost.
That's just the ghost.
Don't concern yourself. It was a real person. We know it's a ghost. That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. So yeah, it's commonplace.
When you say
if you're ever home alone, you're never really home alone.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess you get used to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, or you move, like, you know, or you perform some kind of like a ceremony or
help guide them to the other side.
Yeah, some kind of like seance or some kind of like incentive to go, hey, it's okay. Like, you know, however you help. I don't know. I've never done it. I wouldn't say just smudge them away. You know, I'm not really versed in helping lift spirits, but I'm just thinking like there's only a couple options.
That was exactly our question as children. We asked our parents, mom and dad, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like this old lady, mom and dad were like, she's not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
But if you want to help her cross over to the other side, you just pray. Just pray for her to find her way.
Right.
And that's what we did. We all just kind of prayed. And over time, over years, eventually she just stopped showing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But was that the only ghost or were there multiple ghosts? Okay.
Multiple.
Like, no.
Just the one in the house. Yeah. So you used.
No, not even that.
But she was the one in the house, right? Or
she was in one part of the trailer house. Yes, she was there. But there was also a little boy that showed up one night.
Oh, God.
Or one afternoon, I should say. It only happened to me on this one. I was doing my homework. I was in high school at this point. And I'm doing my homework. I'm down in the living room area. But you look down this long hallway into our laundry room, which is also another hallway that connected into our family or dining room, kitchen area. And I see this little boy poke his head out around the corner, and he's like looking at me. So I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking to myself, well, somebody else is here. You know, they're drinking coffee and bullshitting with each other. So
that's so crazy.
Basically, my job as the teenager or the kid in the house was go get the company's kid, put cartoons on for him in the living room while the adults talk.
Right.
They're going to talk about all kinds of grotesque shit.
Yeah, be a good host.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, you know, I'm like, oh, well, I better go over there before, after the guests leave, my parents will yell at me. You know what you're supposed to do. So I go down there to the living room or the kitchen area, and my mom's doing dishes. And I ask her, who's all here? And we were 5 miles from town, so it wasn't like somebody just walked into our fucking house. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, dude. You're good. You're good.
So I'm like, who's here? And Mom looks at me. She said, oh, it's me and you. Your brother is down at the White Buffalo's house spending the night. Your dad's in town playing slot machines. And I'm like, well, that's all good and fine, but who's the kid? What kid? I'm like, the kid I was just staring at in the hallway. And there's nobody here. It's just me and you. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, Mom. Because I was making eye contact with this kid in the hallway. We looked at each other for a good 30 seconds.
Wow.
And she's like, it's just me and you. It's just me and you.
No, it's not.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, I don't think so.
There's a little.
Now, the old lady, you used the term residual haunting. So is that basically where it's almost like that energy is just trapped in that point in time and it's on some kind of a loop? Is that what we're dealing with here?
Exactly. She never changed course. She never said anything to anybody. She'd walk in there. She'd stand in the brother's room, my brother or sister's room, and then turn around, disappear after they go back into the bathroom. And that's basically how it started out. As I was laying in, like, from what I saw for nights on end, I was seeing like almost like a glow or a haze develop in the middle of the night. I'm like watching this light go across the hallway and come back and then go away. And I'm sleeping on my mom and dad's floor thinking that was weird, but I didn't see anything for a long time there. And then my brother, who's 1 year older than me, he asked my mom and dad that night, or one of the nights, he came in and he says, who's the old lady? Mom and dad are like, what old lady? And you're like, the old lady keeps coming in my room. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then after that, it's just kind of like everybody ended up seeing this woman. It's like, oh, okay. So there's an old lady that keeps walking into my brother's room.
Yeah, that's, I would be a little bit concerned. I guess, like I said, I guess you get over it or what happened.
Pray it away.
What about the little boy? Was that a different every time or one time encounter or?
One time. I never seen him again.
Once.
Yeah, just once.
That would see, now that would make me a little bit more like, you know what I mean? Again, like if you can see the loop happening and go, okay, I can understand this a little bit. The one time just kind of passing through like, hey, sorry, you didn't really see me.
I have a question. Is there any members of the tribe that can tell you anything about the land that your father's property, which by the way, you mentioned your father had passed, so sorry for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Is there anything that anyone's ever told you about? Maybe someone from the reservation about that land potentially, or of it just being kind of a portal or something?
No, I never heard anything like that. I do know that some people claimed, and I'm pretty sure they were ill-informed on this one, that it was part of the Trail of Tears that the Native Americans were forced to march on onto the reservations. And whenever people died on the Trail of Tears, they were basically buried on the spot.
Yeah.
But from my research, that's not where the Trail of Tears is at all. So I kind of disregarded that information. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misinformed. But as far as that goes, we've talked to a lot of people about it. And no, nobody really ever said anything about the area where we were on as being strange.
Yeah, just a mystery, man. You got a lot of activity in that spot. It's interesting.
I could tell you 2 more stories about the land that did not happen in the house. Although one night my dad did say he woke up and there was a baby in a bassinet in his doorway crying and there was no baby. But that was like the only thing he ever told me, is like, I woke up last night in the middle of the night and there to a baby crying. And I'm like, a baby crying? Like nobody has any kids yet, you know what I mean? Or not at the house anyways. And I looked over in the middle of the doorway, it was a bassinet and there's some baby and they're crying. And I get up to go see it and it's gone. And I'm like, Jesus, what the hell do you see? Because I never heard a baby cry that wasn't there, but he did. So
man,
it was an interesting one.
Yeah.
My brother and his girlfriend at the time, we had a trampoline out in the play yard area because it was 10 acres we had. It was pretty big land. And they were jumping on the trampoline, playing around, and they saw a guy in a white shirt and blue jeans appear in the middle of the day, looked pissed off, like he's ready to fight, fist balled up, like he was just ready to go, and then he just disappeared. The crazy thing is, I remember seeing that guy as well at a different time in the same area. I don't know what that was about, but the biggest, like, kind of creepiest one that's ever happened. Sorry, I'm going to reposition. Oh, I should grab the water. Was this guy we had crush cars. He was an old Marine, and every year we'd get, a bunch of junk cars ready to go and crush them and sell them for weight. And I don't want to say his name, but because he just recently passed a couple years ago, and just out of respect, I won't say his name, but
sure.
He'd come out there and he would crush cars, and not just on his own. They had a whole crew, but he was awesome. Like, I had an old Camaro he used to help me get parts for all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was straight up awesome.
That's the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that guy. And me and my brother, same brother, we're coming back from town one day, 5 miles, bunch of hills, and we're just like a mile out of town, and we see him drive by, and he's just waving his arm out the window, like, pull the over.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay. We pull over, and he comes up to the window, and he's just like, we're like, what's going on, man? And he's a Native American guy, but he was pale white.
Wow.
And he's like, I'm never going out there, because it was like dark out. He's like, I'm never working at night out there by myself. I'll come back tomorrow with my rest of my crew, but I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not working out there by myself. We're like, what happened?
No.
So he tells us his story. Yeah, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. But if I didn't see how, like, flush his face was, like, no blood in it,
right?
I don't know if I believe it.
Right.
But just hearing his firsthand account and how shaken he was and how he was, wow. The dude was a Marine. He told me some stories about being in war and some things that he's seen.
Wow.
That I hope I never see. Right. But he was telling us, I'm in the payloader. I'm loading cars up for the crusher tomorrow. I'm like, okay. I look over and my van lights are on in my van. So I'm like, okay, you left the lights on in your van. I get out the payloader. I go through the gate, because we had a fenced gate so people didn't steal shit from us.
Right.
And I turn the lights off, go back to work. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes later, my lights are back on.
Whoa.
So I thought that was weird. I go turn my lights off, back to work. Another 4 or 5 minutes later, my lights are on. And at this point, I'm thinking, you guys are fucking with me.
Whoa.
I knew that because we're teenagers at the time. He's
right.
Those Moran boys are just being assholes. So,
damn Moran boys.
Yeah, exactly. So I go up to my van.
Sorry, I just had Barbara Ann, but Moran, and there was a song coming, but go.
Barbara Ann. Yeah,
Berton Moran. Bert, and
I had an uncle named Bob. Bob Moran.
God, that's great.
So
that's great.
That's exactly how I know that song.
That's great.
But so he says, I go up, I turn my lights off, I take my keys, I lock all my doors. Yeah. Slam that door. I'm thinking, these guys ain't going to be able to do it now.
Mystery solved.
Solved. Can't do nothing.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, my lights are back on in my van.
Oh, God.
And he says, at this point, I'm like, well, okay, it's dark out. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I said, I'm out. He said, I go up to my van, I unlock the door, I take that first step because it's one of those big vans, not like a minivan.
Yeah, yeah.
He takes I'm jumping up into my van. Something grabs me by the back of my collar and just pulls me backwards.
Dang.
I get thrown to the ground, and I turn around, and he says, there's nothing there. I basically scrambled into my van, and he says, the next thing I know, I'm talking to you guys right now. And we're just like, are you serious, dude? He's like, and he showed me his hand all just like, my whole
freaking out.
He was freaking out, dude.
Wow.
That's like some poltergeist type stuff. Mischievous.
I don't know if
sounds dark.
One of the cars he was crushing wasn't wanting to get crushed or what it was. Somebody was in that thing still, but
somebody was in
what's
the
his
trunk.
name from Christine?
An old
Arnie.
Yeah. There you go.
God, it's a freaky book.
Yeah.
the spirit of the car and like how it was passed down over the years of all the drivers. And well, we don't think about that often.
Well, think how many mob hits and somebody ended up in a trunk of some big ass Cadillac.
Just anywhere. The first time I ever thought about
that guy's not in that Cadillac still?
Right. First time I thought about it was when we lived in German Village with like a older house where it's like, what was this house? It used to be a saloon and it used to be this and it used to be that. But
in there,
what it is today is not what it was, you know, a decade ago or, you know, but whatever's been imprinted, that, you know, impression of energy or emotion.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was very, very powerful that night.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't come back he did come back to work the next day, but as soon as that sun started to get anywhere near dark and he was gone.
He was gone.
He was gone before the rest of them.
He never had anything happen during daylight hours ever?
Nope. No.
Okay.
Not him. Not that he'd ever told me. Like we had some bad wrecks come in. I remember a few, like this is going to get pretty gross, but
go ahead.
I remember this one car that we had brought in that was in a head-on collision. There were teeth embedded in the steering wheel.
Wow.
And that's messed up.
Jesus.
But we had another Jeep come in one time. Me and my cousin Travis, I'll throw his name out there. Who cares? He ain't going to do nothing. But it was weird because we went out there at night. We're looking over this Jeep because honestly, whenever you get like a bunch of junk cars in, you're a kid and you own these cars, so you can do whatever you want with them. You go through them, you'll find like a couple bucks under the seat.
Right.
Some change in the cup holder, you know,
right.
Money adds up.
Right.
So we're going through it. And on the hood of this thing, just in like one corner, somebody had carved with like a knife or something really jagged. It said, "Help me. It's got my mom."
Whoa.
We're like, what the hell does that mean? Well, what are we even dealing with here?
That's unnerving.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we felt. We were like, we'll deal with this in the morning.
Yeah.
Not right now. I'm out.
That's weird.
Y'all are dealing with that in the morning.
Yeah, that's strange.
Not this guy.
Nope. I'm not operating a junkyard. Not doing it.
And the thing, like another thing I like to point out is this happened over my entire life. You know, all these stories didn't happen like 1 week span.
Sure.
Right.
And a lot of people think that, oh, well, it's haunted. So if I go to this place, I'm going to see something.
Not
necessarily.
Not
unless you're living there for 18 years like I did.
Yeah.
And then you'll see a handful of stories. But it was some interesting crap that we saw down there.
That's so amazing. Great stories, man. I mean, you want to grow up in a place where you can tell stories and have some kind of a memory of a cool childhood. But for me, those aren't necessarily the experiences that, you know, but now here you are able to share those with us and blow our minds. But when you're a kid at the time, necessarily, it's probably pretty freaky, especially when Marines are ready to hightail it out of there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whenever me and Cassie got together, and I told her these stories before she ever met my family and stuff, she's like, "You're so full of crap, dude."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
didn't believe you.
Yeah, I get why you believe that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I was like, but you can ask any of my family members and they'll tell you the same story. And she's like,
right.
Sure. And sure enough, you know, I was like literally like the first day she met my mom and my dad and my brothers. And I'm just like, tell her the stories of the crap that's happened here. And they're like, which ones? And I'm like, oh man.
Get out
all
the photo album. Yeah. Get out the photo album. This is the ghost that goes in the bathroom. And you know what I mean?
One of my other brother, he's a very avid hunter. And this story is kind of different because it's not, I don't know if you'd say it's paranormal or what it is, but he goes out deer hunting one morning, as he does like all the time. Like that's literally one of his jobs that he has now as a hunting guide. And he'll get flown down to Texas every year, and then they flew him up to Canada to go bear hunting.
Wow.
They'll give him their weapons. So like they'll fly down with no weapons, buy a brand new gun here, use it for the hunt, and then give it back to him. You can have that. I only paid like $3,000 for it because I don't want to have to deal with putting it on an airplane.
Yep.
Right.
So all that, you just keep the gun, it's yours.
That's
and then they'll come back next year, do the same thing. But anyways, back to the story. He goes out hunting one morning looking for a deer. He had a tag to fill, and he comes across a coyote, a yote. So he's like, you know what? target practice or ain't nothing legal about shooting a coyote. So blows this thing's head off. Brain was literally hanging out of the skull.
Wow.
He's like, perfect shot. Throws it in the back of his truck. Drives around the rest of the day. No deer. Not a one. And it was hot. It was like summer or whatever, getting towards summertime, deer hunting season. Into summer, sweaty nastiness. And he comes home and my mom and dad are like, get a deer? We're all like, all of us are, I'm like, probably like 10 or 12 at this time. He's like, no, I didn't get a deer, but I got a coyote. You guys want to come check that out? We're like, yeah, sure. He's like, we're walking up to his truck and this thing stood up, brain hanging out, jumped out of the truck, ran off over a hill.
What?
And we never saw this thing. We never saw this thing again.
What?
Whoa, bro.
What? Yeah.
What?
It had been sitting. It had flies flying around this thing, dude. It was dead. It was
And
dead.
all you guys saw this?
Yeah. We were coming out to the truck to see the damn thing, stood up, jumped over, and ran away. And we're all like, nerves? Could it have been nerves?
No.
I've never heard.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
That's wild, man.
incredibly
I wasn't
strange.
expecting that
Not at
end
all.
of the story to be that.
Talk about a twist.
I thought you were going to say like some, the cryptid came up and snatched the coyote, or I don't know what was. I don't know.
there
I
were a
was
number of
not
ways it could have
expecting
went. That one was not in my
wow
predictable purview.
I told that one to Steve and Kyle while we were at the Van Meter Visitor Festival.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, because I got to meet them down there. They were great.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm glad you got to meet those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool.
They were cool.
went there.
I was excited to see them. But so I tell Kyle and Steve that, and Steve and Kyle, they go, that weren't no yote. I was like, I don't know what it was, man. I couldn't tell you what it was. Like, it didn't sound like a yote.
Oh my god!
Is it that, or if it's on the property where there's all this weird energy and that's what I'm saying. Like he knows what he shot, right? Like he's a good hunter. He goes out there often. Like he knows what he shot. He knows the condition of that animal when he puts it in the bed. So I think it's a coyote that it rose. Yeah, go ahead.
Zombie-ote.
Yeah, something in the property was like like the movie Fallen. It's got how many cubits to get in the next host, and maybe there was enough blood in that thing that it was like it took its moment and ran away, inhabited that vessel to get away, and
that's wild.
Yeah, sorry.
Just to bring in any buddy who's like, well, maybe he didn't see what he saw. Not that I didn't see it, but maybe Henry misidentified what it was or where he shot it.
Right.
Henry's a very that's going to say his name. So he's my brother Henry. He's a very good hunter. At this point, Henry. It doesn't matter. He's been on like the hunting channel stuff or whatever.
Oh, cool.
And he'll take people out hunting and stuff.
That's awesome.
And they'll film him. So when I was in high school one day, he comes up to me, he's like, sun's going down. He grabs a spotlight and he says, "You want to see something cool?" I was like, "Sure. All right. You got to do exactly what I tell you." So I'm like, perfect. And he's like, "We're jumping over this fence. We're going to go for a while." So we walked maybe a mile up this hill, over these hills. And he's like, "We're going to crawl on our bellies from here on out. So stay very quiet." So, okay. So we army crawl quite a ways over this hill. And I'm like, Henry's like, "Don't say anything." He's whispering, "Don't say anything." And I'm like,
"Jeez him."
He says, "Right now, we're in the center of a herd of deer." I said, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's like, I was like, "No fucking way." And he brings the spotlight up and he shines it just like that real quick. And sure enough, there's a buck laying there. There's a couple deer over here. I'm just like, we're in the center of this thing. That's how good he is.
Wow. It's amazing. And he's able to bring you through there too.
Yeah.
As a guide, professional guide. Yeah. That's incredible. Wow. He's talented, man.
That's what I'm saying. He knows what he shoots. He knows what
he knows what's up.
Scope.
He sees a coyote hop up, brains hanging out of the back of the pickup. What do you do with that?
Got to disturb you a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
bro, that's a zombie-ote.
Ziote.
Am I wrong? Ziote.
Ziote. I like that. It should be like
Ziote's good.
Beavers.
Yeah.
That's the Berton's. That could be your personal cryptid.
Dude,
Burton's Ziotes.
Burton's got to get Burton's Ziote t-shirts.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Make these like Two-Face looking, like, you know, half rotted off, Terminator melted.
Oh boy, you could go anywhere with that.
Put the one eye with like the spirit of whatever made it rise.
Oh man,
that's awesome.
I'm telling you. At first, I thought you were going to say it was a dude, like it was a skinwalker, and I was going to be like, we got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of came to mind to me was skinwalker territory.
That would have broke me.
Some dude laying in the back of the truck.
Yeah,
that would have been terrifying.
I just watched Silver Bullet, and Gary Busey looked a little bit in shock when he sees that the Reverend was the werewolf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what's his name's in that? Corey Haim, right?
Is that
Corey Haim?
Yeah. Corey Haim.
Yep, Corey Haim.
Corey Haim.
Man, he was young, Corey Haim.
Love that movie.
Sweet. Was it? Oh, wheelchair motorcycle thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Busey built it for him.
That was awesome.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Good movie. I love horror movies.
I need to watch that.
It's a good one to watch on Saturday afternoon when you're a kid instead of late at night.
Yeah, I was never.
I could handle those in the daytime. Nighttime, if it went dark.
I was watching Chucky in like first grade and didn't understand why nobody else was watching those like horror movies.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Right.
Like
we've been through
Poltergeist. I saw Poltergeist. I was young, dude. Young.
Yeah.
Poltergeist is intense.
I remember watching a lot of movies with some kids in our class that watched a lot of scary movies like House.
Yeah.
Critters.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Critters for sure, dude.
Critters 2.
Yeah,
House,
you know the
House
Undertaker. The Undertaker's in Critters. The wrestler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The
Undertaker is one of the bad guys in Critters.
That's funny.
Was it Critters 2 was Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie?
Right. That's yes. Johnny Depp was in Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Or no, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
Not Freddy.
That's
Freddy.
Yeah.
Why they hired Skeet Ulrich to play Billy Loomis in Scream was because they thought he looked like Johnny Depp.
He did too.
They're like, that's why we wanted that guy, because he resembled Johnny Depp.
And the new Scream's coming out. There's a new Scream, Scream 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Seen it.
You did? It's already out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's Scream 6 in theaters, yeah.
Scream 6.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So
Not as good as the first one.
We didn't go into the story.
Yeah. Do we miss something?
We heard it from Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I want to hear the owl story.
I would love to.
If that's okay. Can we do that?
Yeah. Yeah, we could do the owl story.
I hate to be like, I want to hear this, but I don't want to forget. Because like I said, I will go on so many tangents, Bert. You'll be like, what are we talking about?
I hear you. I'm the same way. No, the owl story, there's some backstory to that one. I didn't even get into with Jeremiah too much, but Mom and Dad were telling me the story, and I've told my kids this story, and the kids, they think that I'm telling them this story to behave. But when my parents told me that, you got to keep in mind that I was a teenager at the time, so it didn't really matter.
Right.
I was going to do whatever I wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a story about this Native American woman. Wasn't even that long ago of a story that she lived in this mobile home trailer house thing on the reservation. Has this kid. The kid's misbehaving, and she's telling this kid, "You better be good, or I'm going to put you outside for the giant owl to take you." And the kid's, like, doesn't give a shit. So the kid's being an ass. And then finally the mom's, I've had enough. So the mom decides, I'm going to put the kid outside the front porch, close the door, terrify the kid. Open the door, good kid. You know what I mean? So in the story, the lady does that. And supposedly mom and dad say that they've heard this story, like a true thing. I don't know. I can't ask them. They're gone. But close the door, opens the door, kid's gone. Kid is just nowhere. There's no sign of a bird that took him or anything like that. But that was the story that, I'm going to let this owl take you. Close the door, kid was gone. So, and mom and dad are telling me this story, and I'm like, okay, but part of the story is that if this is the first time you've heard this story, then the owl will show itself to you. So, again, as I said on Jeremiah's thing, if this is the first time you guys heard the story, keep an eye out. Maybe you'll see this thing. And at the time, me and Cassie, we were going to Gregory, South Dakota. We visited my parents down there because they were visiting my aunt. So we talked to them for a few hours because they were closer than where we were because I already lived here in this town. They lived like 2.5 hours from here. It was like an hour and a half drive there. So I was like, save an hour, go visit parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to them on our way back. Me and Cassie are talking about the kind of stories we're talking about now. And I said, Mom and Dad told me the story one time about this giant owl. And I tell her the same story I just told you about this owl that took a kid. And how if this is the first time you've heard about it, it's going to come and show itself to you. And we're on the back roads between Gregory and Mitchell, South Dakota. And it's not the interstate. It's just like highways and back roads. So I tell her this story, and she does the same thing she does with all of my stories. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, hey, it's not my story. I'm just telling you what happened in this story. So you can take this story for whatever it's worth. I don't care. And then we come up to this, like 5 miles down the road, we come up to this 4-way stop. And I actually have a picture of it because I went by there for work not that long ago. And I was like, I better take a picture of this area just so I have it on documentation. And the 4-way stop, we have to take right, head east, because we're heading north. So we had to head east. And on the side of the road, there's this owl, and it's not small at all. This thing, we were in a really crappy 2001 Oldsmobile Alero, and this thing stood about a foot taller than that car. And we're like, are you seeing this fucking owl?
That's amazing.
And she's like, she's sitting shotgun, so she's closer to it than I am. And I don't want to just drive by and go. I'm slowly going by this thing. And like, I'm like watching, just going by slower than hell. And she's like, are you serious? Looking at this thing? Like, she's kind of leaning back in her chair already because it's like right next to her window. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the biggest freaking owl I've ever seen. And the entire time the owl's head is just watching us.
Whoa.
So I'm like, man.
On that swivel.
I wonder what happens if I honk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to know what happens if I honk
dead
the horn.
eyes,
Is this thing going to
dude.
fly away?
Owls look dead inside. Like, you look in there. I mean, they're
They don't
beautiful,
look
but
cuddly.
bro, they're murderers.
They're raptors.
They kill everything.
Yeah.
And of course,
Eat
it was doing that
everything.
creepy owl thing where it was looking like the body was facing this direction, but the entire time its head's like
Right.
doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like their heads turned like all the way back around. So this thing was like basically waiting for me, it seemed like. So I was like, I'm going to honk the horn. I'm going to honk the horn and see if this thing flies off or what it does. And it's like right next to her car. It is taller than my car. And I'm just like looking at this thing. So I honk the horn and just almost like that noise you hear, that this wings fly out and it just stops. And it looked at me like, I'm here.
Wow.
What now? And like she jumped in she was like on the center console at this point. She's like, holy crap. And I'm just like, what? And like the owl never flew off. It just stood there on that spot and just stared us down. And we're like, you know what? And then we get down the road, maybe a mile. We're both like, holy crap.
Right.
What was that? And she says, what are the odds of that happening after you tell me that story? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm telling you, the thing had to have been at least 5, almost 6 foot, right around.
That's a big bird.
I've looked into it. Owls don't get that big.
Right.
The closest thing that I have seen is the harpy eagle, and they're not quite close enough, guys.
Yeah.
These things are huge. This thing was huge.
Right. It's bigger than a harpy eagle, you're saying.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
That's a big owl.
Now, did it look kind of like a horned owl? I mean, what do we...
Nope.
Smooth, kind of
smooth.
More... Okay,
like
interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What color was it?
You would think so. It was kind of a lighter color.
Okay.
It wasn't like, a lot of the times you think brown. This is almost like grayish, kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't super dark is all I could tell you. It was almost lighter skin.
Well,
like I say skin, but lighter feathered.
Yeah.
Right.
And
owls are creepy too, just because they're silent.
Yeah.
Right? Like when they fly, they are silent.
I mean, remember that time outside of my house? Never seen an owl.
No.
Never heard an owl at my old house.
You won't hear them.
We were outside and we're like, oh, maybe we'll do this thing. Maybe we won't. And it's like, oh, maybe there's a sign out there.
Right
this
when we said
owl,
that.
right when we say that, this owl flies like the blackness of it was so dark.
You could just see it right across the sky,
and
we're
it
like,
just
okay,
went
well,
whoosh, and it was big, dude.
Yeah,
and
that
it
was the
just
answer.
looked, and it was silent. You could see this thing float right through.
You were like,
and I'm
I've never seen that.
There's no way that just happened.
It did.
And well, our friend Roa, who's our artist friend of ours that designed and painted the studio and our logo and tattoo artist.
You guys, your studio is top tier.
Oh, thank
I'm not gonna
you.
lie, that's
thank
beautiful.
you. Yeah, well, without Roa's help and it's been a team game. But he has a really interesting connection with owls and birds in general. Yeah, so the fact that he was there that night, and then I have other owl stories connected with him where he was there, and just like
that was my first tattoo was an owl. Mm-hmm. There's something about him. Like
thing came across. I'm like, I've never seen an owl at that house. Now, as a kid, we had an owl right outside the locust tree for a whole summer. One whole summer, that thing was out there, hooting, and I used to go to bed to it, and then never again. Yeah, never had an owl.
I wonder if there are many back home. And I mean, I've heard the stories though before of
our buddies would
seeing the owls. I've never heard of the giant owl, but I've heard of like different.
But
YouTube
they show
clips
up at
that I've
weird
seen
times.
Of speeches. There's a presenter that talks about the owls and how they're kind of like a foreshadowing of whatever event.
Yeah.
But this is a different story, obviously.
Indigenous cultures all over the world are complete. The owl is always there.
Well,
it's always a symbol of wisdom.
They manifest out of nowhere a lot of times.
The hidden knowledge.
They operate in the shadows.
Yep. And
they're very esoteric.
I was on the Appalachian Intelligence podcast. We were talking about this.
Yeah, good guys.
And they're great. I love those guys. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, shout out to those guys.
And
great dudes.
They hit me with some information that I thought was pretty interesting that I never even thought about. Because I didn't know this information at the time, but one thing I should have thought about, we was at a crossroads, which in a lot of lore, a crossroad is where you go to make a deal with a demon, stuff like that.
Right. Robert Johnson.
And then they informed me about this demon named Lilith. Lilith is the taker of children. Mm-hmm. This owl takes children, supposedly. And then Lilith also transforms into an owl or something like that at times.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
But then they hit me with this, there's this book. It was a really good book because I ended up reading it after they told me about it. It's called Lost Gods by Brahm. And the funny thing about the interesting thing is it's a really good book. These guys told me to check it out, so I did. But the main character guy, he has to fight. He basically has to go to hell and fight this demon lady. He's got to find some stuff to fight this demon lady who is actually part of his family. And he comes back and all this stuff. And she's Lilith. She is Lilith. And the main character's name is Chet Moran. And I'm Berton Moran. Yeah, and I'm like, they're telling me this information. I'm like,
what?
That's amazing. So that's why I read the book. I'm like, I got to read this book.
That's super strange.
It was interesting. It was a really good book, though. I'll tell you that.
That's awesome.
And it was more of like this guy just kind of came up with a story. I don't know. Maybe he did some real research or something like that. But yeah, the main character was Chet Moran, who had to fight Lilith, who is the taker of children.
Who's the owl?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who uses owls.
I mean, you gotta wonder: is the giant owl some kind of spiritual thing?
It could be
like Mothman, or getting into the Keelian world of the portal opening up and the window of time where these things come in and out of existence, and maybe it's some kind of higher dimensional thing.
I've heard stories of Thunderbirds.
Yeah, Texas. They still have sightings to this day.
Right.
And I've actually heard another story very similar to mine about a giant owl. This other guy encountered. He was in his car, and this thing landed on the hood of his car.
Okay.
And it stared him down. And I think, was it you guys? No, either you or Jeremiah on
in our comments,
Instagram.
In our YouTube comments or Instagram comments, there was a gal that posted a giant owl photo.
Oh.
In our comments and had a link to it, I believe. And then you were saying that your owl was a bit big, quite a bit bigger even than her, and it was huge.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The one in her picture was amazing. It was huge. But Burton was like, the owl that I saw was
good size,
even bigger than that. But that was like they had it. They had its wings all spread out, and they captured it.
Well, yeah, any owl with this, well, not any owl, but the bigger owls with their wings out, they're big birds. We're not saying they're small. They're still big birds, but I think what you're saying, Bert, is like, it's like an owl on steroids. Like,
yeah, I'll dig that up. We might have to show that.
Arnold next to Danny DeVito and
shout her out because we have that. She shared that image.
Yeah, we'll have to put that in the.
I would say that the wingspan open on that owl was as long as our Alero was. So hold on a second. How long was, or how long
10,
is
11 feet?
the 2001 Olds Alero? Let's find out here.
I'm going to say 10, 11 feet.
15 foot.
That's a big bird. 15 foot.
The wingspan.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. That's a big bird. 15 feet, that's a big owl. Yeah. You know, like 7, 8 feet for an owl, like a bigger normal sized owl. I can see that happening, but 15 foot, that's a 6 foot, 5 foot tall bird.
And like Cassie, before she saw this thing, she told me, she's like, I never really thought Bigfoot could exist.
Oh, yeah.
And I never thought all of these other things could possibly even be a thing until I saw that owl. She says, because you told me that story, and what are the odds that we see this thing? And it looked at us like it wanted us to see it. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But ever since then, she says, Bigfoot could be real. I'm like, yeah, could be.
I was not a big Bigfoot believer for a long time, and I've had a pretty good come up on seeing evidence.
I've always believed. I've always wanted it to be real so bad.
Enough accounts that I'm going, yeah, I think I'm pretty much 99% there. I mean, like I said, the video we saw the other week with DA and
not only that, but all the other cryptids too.
That too.
Yeah, the dog man.
I think the lid's about to be blown off on all the cryptids. Kind of like with the UAP stuff going on. They're like, you know what? We've run Barnum and Bailey's cover for them long enough. The Smithsonian's warehouse is full of stuff. We just can't put any more on layaway. We can't
hide our secrets anymore. Guys.
Storage Wars is going to open up one of these Smithsonian lockers. The next thing you know,
I'm going.
Barry's going to have the Ark of the Covenant or,
I'm going to that. They open up the archives. I'm
just saying on Storage Wars, the show.
Yeah,
the Smithsonian's got so many places rented that they're going to start having lockers that they don't pay their fees on, and some rando on a rascal is going to open up one of those. And
hey, as long as I know about it, I'm there. We need to make a lot of money.
That'd be one hell of an episode.
I'm telling you, wouldn't that be something? You found what in there?
Yeah, no doubt.
Because it is. They have to be full to the brim, right? So I think there's just a cap at a certain point, and we're going to have to, let the cat out of the bag. We have all the information with all the different states that are kind of coming out with soft disclosure.
Ohio.
Bigfoot's real.
Ohio's one of them.
Here's what you do if you see a Bigfoot, and kind of here's
Department of Natural Resources, dude. John
Hickenbottom. A little bit of that slow roll going on.
Yep.
Well, and the whole missing 411 thing, you have little kids that go missing, and they're saying like a bear took care of me. It stood up like a human.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It's like, what are you talking about, kid? A bear took care of you?
But here's the craziest part about that. Now you got to look at that story, and it's like, was kids old enough to realize, what an entity is, an animal, or a person?
Yeah.
So if you're saying a bear.
They don't have the...
that sounds like Sasquatch to me.
The amount of information in their mind.
But I would call that a bear if I was a kid.
Right. They don't have any reference of what...
Yeah.
So a bear is the closest thing a kid could possibly... Especially a young kid. I mean,
How strange would that be? Because it happened. Like, that story's real. It's from, what, North Carolina or South Carolina? Am I wrong in saying that?
Well, yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 years ago?
No, I think you're dead on.
Okay, like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Like, in that time frame. Yeah. And the kid was
been documented. They sent, I want to say it's 5 or 6. So they sent out like the whole park rangers and all that stuff. They went looking for him and
couldn't find him.
He was gone for like 2 days or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I know it was longer than just a couple of hours. It was at least a day or 2, if not 3.
The bizarre thing was whenever they found him, the kid, like usually you go find, if you do find a kid that goes missing in that time frame, that kid looks rough.
Right.
This kid looked like he just got lost like an hour ago. He's like, hey, what's up, guys? it's me, Jeremy, or whatever the hell his name was.
Yep.
And they're like, what's going on? He's like, Bear took care of me.
I would be interested to see if that kid didn't have some kind of, follow-up home visits where, governmental or Men in Black type or
as they come in there and tell me.
Right. Or as he grows up, if he can kind of illuminate that story more and have the ability to kind of contextualize it better than, a 6-year-old reference. But the imprint of that memory would be very strong. So, being able to look at it later on through the lens of an adult and kind of relive that moment to a certain point, because that's just too strange. You're not going to forget about that. I'm sorry, but I have memories that are way less impactful than a couple overnight stay with a possible Bigfoot or a bear man.
Right.
And I still haven't forgotten them, and they revolve around the Ninja Turtles a lot. So let's just say they run
clearly.
Yeah,
absolutely. But no, it's like definitely an interesting case on that one.
Right.
That's crazy.
So, Berton, what are you into right now? I know you're always looking into stuff, reading. What's something that is on your radar that you're just like, man, there's this one thing that's been driving me nuts. Right. I got to investigate it. I got to look into it.
Yeah.
Because I go in my spurts where I'm like zoned in on something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot, but right now, like I said, I was focusing on the Argo Hotel in Crofton, Nebraska, I believe it is, name of town. And it's a hotel that a long time ago, I can't remember the exact year it was built, but they ended up converting it into a tuberculosis hospital for, obviously TB patients, and a lot of people died in the thing. And then I can't remember I feel like it might have been an asylum for a little bit, but not sure, because it's a good sized building for the small town it's in, but it's nothing huge. And then it got to a point where like everybody's kind of abandoned it. And then I remember not very long ago, I'm guessing like 10, 15 years ago, some lady and her husband decided that let's renovate this thing, bring it back to its former glory. And that's what they did, is they brought the Argo back and they built it pretty much identical to how it used to be. If you see old pictures of it then and see pictures of it now, it looks pretty awesome. But in the renovations, they found bones in the walls of the basement. And ever since, like, during that whole time that they've been renovating it, and they've had some spooky crap happening there. And like I said, it's only like 2 hours from here. I have driven by there on my way back from Texas. I was literally 15 minutes from there, and I said, I'm not going to pass up the opportunity just to even see this place.
Right.
And it's a beautiful hotel. And I know that at times I think they offer overnight stays if you like want to do an investigation. And I do. Like, that would be cool. I'm there. It's been on Ghost Hunters recently, like in the last year. They were up there because I remember them. I follow them on Facebook, and if you haven't, should check them out. But they put a whole thing out there that, the Ghost Hunters are coming today, and I'm like, like somebody I know? They're like, yeah, because they're on TV. Oh, okay, those guys. Which
the Ghost Hunters,
right?
The show, the Ghost Hunters,
so, right. That's cool.
Yeah. So I saw like part of the episode, but I don't think I saw the whole thing. But that's basically one of the ones I'm really looking into going to, because it is fairly close and inexpensive as far as a lot of these places you go to. Like, I'd love to go to the Villisca Axe Murder House. I was only like an hour and a half whenever we were in Van Meter, Iowa. It's only like an hour and a half from there. And I'm sure you guys heard that one.
I'm not familiar.
No.
Oh my God! They made a whole movie. I think you can watch the movie on Netflix.
Okay,
but the movie's very Hollywood.
Yeah, of course.
So it has nothing to do with. It has very little to do with the actual story that happened there. I believe it was 1903. The Moore family was coming back from church, and it was the husband, the wife, I think 2 sons, 2 daughters, and then they had 2 other house guests staying the night there. And they got permission from their parents to spend the night in their house. The next morning, the elderly woman who lived next door realized, it's like 10 o'clock and these guys are not up doing chores like they do every morning. What's going on? So she calls up the Mr. Moore's brother, and he comes to take a look. And first thing he notices when he walks in the house is there's 2 people have been murdered. in the first floor of this house. So he goes, he's like, oh my God, I'm not going any further. He goes and gets the cops. Cops come in, and they found that everybody was in that house that night. Somebody had took an axe to every one of them in their beds.
Jeez.
And I'm like, axe, terrible, right? They used the blunt end of the axe to bash everybody's brains in.
Jeez.
Good grief.
Yeah, it's very messed up. And at one point, like where the Mr. Moran and his wife slept, there is a spot in the ceiling behind them where the upswing of the axe got stuck in the ceiling, and they had to pull it out and then hit him again.
Whoa.
Like, this was a brutal murder.
Yeah.
This person, I believe he covered every mirror with a cloth, and then he ate breakfast there.
What?
Like that night, like he took like a pound of bacon. It was still like a whole thing. They had pictures of it in the crime scene photos. And in the time
no big deal. Gonna have a little bacon, hang out,
right,
just chill.
You don't let that go to waste, though.
Hey,
yeah,
bacon's bacon.
Bacon.
Everybody loves bacon.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the time that the cops and everything went to go get the cops and all this other stuff, like people from the town were just like, "Oh, I want to see." And they just walk into this building, like. There was over like 30 people that were just walking around this house like, oh, wow, look, they were really beat to death.
Jeez.
It was like, get the hell out of here. You guys are messing with a, yeah. Obviously, it's 1903, so they don't near the forensic
I was about to say,
that we have.
Put it on Twitter nowadays.
Mm-hmm,
yeah. But one person I do believe, and obviously I think everybody thinks this who really looks into this, is there was this, a traveling preacher guy that was there. At the time, he went to the church that night, and this traveling preacher had to leave early in the morning. Like, he was on a train out of town, right? And before the bodies were discovered, he was bragging, telling people on the train, like 8 people lost their lives there last night. It was brutal. And they're to take off on this train, and everybody's like, are you serious? And that was before the bodies were discovered. This guy was bragging about, oh, man, these poor family got murdered there. And I'm pretty sure that, like, from what we've heard, that he was the murderer, but due to loopholes and all kinds of stuff, nobody's ever been actually caught or charged with the crime.
That. Wow.
Right. Think about all those that go unsolved and all the murders and serial killers, even today.
Bro. Today I think it's a lot harder to get away with, don't you? With forensics and DNA.
I don't know.
You don't hear as many serial killers.
One of our friends'
now.
wives was like, you don't want to hear about all the ones that go unsolved.
Oh,
you only hear about the ones that get solved.
That's true. How many?
How many Netflix shows come out like this murder is 50 years old? And
BTK got caught when we were in our 20s.
Right, but I'm just saying there are ones out there that probably show more restraint.
The myth of the truck driver serial killer.
I don't know if that's
has been killing for 30 years straight. And
it's
Burton. Just a guy that
no.
Mikey's going in on the truck drivers.
Well, no, just because it's the perfect way to get away with it. You're always moving through different areas.
Absolutely.
You're picking up jobs, you're hunting.
You're mobile.
While you're on the road.
Right.
One of our great friends, Paul Verini, truck driver. How much weird stuff he's seen on the road as a truck driver.
Oh yeah.
I've listened to some truck driver stories, things that they see, things that they encounter. It's like a whole other lifestyle for a trucker.
It's a sub.
That's a different.
Really crazy.
It's a different.
It's a subset of society that is just like you'll never the truck stop life, like just the truck stop world.
If you've ever
CD
done it,
radios, the communication. Yeah.
And the Holosky in their chat, there's a guy who goes by Paranormal Trucker as his handle.
Yeah.
And I want to shout out to him because I see him in there every time. But he's always on the road. I don't know what he sees, but he sees something.
Well, if you're out there enough, you're going to see something.
Right.
Yeah. That's the whole thing about it too, is, you got to get out there and explore enough. And, you're
especially if you're driving through Daniel Boone National Forest at 2:00 in the morning and God knows what can pop out.
Been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy stuff happens at night. You get tired driving sometimes. You end up maybe stopping a place you wouldn't normally to rest for the night. You get into some weird positions where, in the morning you wake up and go, what was I thinking?
So I've done it. There's anything paranormal attached to the house or the murder? I have a feeling you weren't done with the
traveling priest
just yet.
Now, obviously, this isn't my story, but I have heard, like, I watched the movie on Netflix. It's funny. It's, whatever. But at the beginning of it, they told us thing that in light of recent developments at the Holosky Axe Murder House, we would like to let you guys know that this movie was made before that happened. So whatever happened there recently, we did not know about. So the Ghost Hunter, I believe it was 2000, I want to say 14, 13. I might be wrong on that. I'll probably have to look into it. But it's a true story of this guy and a group of 3. One of the rumors is in the attic of the house, it's a very small house. That's where the guy was hiding who came out and brutally murdered these people. And ever since then, it's been a paranormal hotspot. People have been visiting there. It's a very, what am I thinking? Sought after destination for paranormal ghost hunters. This guy was up in the attic area and the other 2 were downstairs. And for some reason that was never really confirmed on why this guy did it. He doesn't, from my understanding, he doesn't know why he did what he did, but he took out his own knife and plunged it into his own chest.
Oh boy.
While ghost hunting. He didn't want to die. He's not suicidal, this guy. But they rescued him. They saved him.
He lived.
He's still alive.
Wow.
So from my understanding, he claims that I don't remember this. I don't know what's going on. But all the other guys know that they were downstairs doing their spirit box session stuff, and they could hear him scream upstairs. So they run upstairs, and there's a knife sticking out of his chest, and he's just so they get an ambulance.
Sweet
the guy lived.
Jesus.
That's why I don't ghost hunt.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you got to go.
Oh boy.
In the right situation, I would definitely protection.
Yeah.
There would be things for me that I would have to partake
have in place.
Yeah. Before, heading into, spiritual warfare. I don't play around with that. I
don't need to wake up with
we did a
craziness running around
paranormal
my
investigation with a psychic at our friend's mom's old mansion in Piqua.
Oh yeah. Frank Lloyd Wright style.
And it was just, it was a lot of strange things happened. There were some interesting things came through the ghost box, the voice box. The gentleman that came had abilities, was a medium, claimed, but he was picking up some interesting stuff. She's had experiences in that house for forever.
Oh yeah, her dogs are very in tune and different things moving around in the house. But
that's been my only time, and there's enough stuff that happened that it was odd, but again, you look into the dark.
Don't get burnt by it. Yeah.
You look into the dark, it might just look back.
Or you look in the void long enough. Yeah. It's crazy.
But if we got some of your tribal folks that came out and did a blessing, or then
I burn sage. What I do
for sure,
because sage, it works. It just does.
It does.
I don't know. I talked to Holosky. We did a whole episode about a demon encounter I had when I was in high school. I just turned 18, moved out of my parents' house, and I moved to Rapid City. And this story has a little bit of a backstory because my parents used to foster kids, and we had a group of, they were all brothers and sisters, but there was one kid that was my age, and me and him, I'm not gonna say his name, we became really good friends at the time that he was staying with us. And I was probably 11, 12, right around that age. And they stayed with us for a few years, and it was really cool to have somebody like that who wasn't just your actual brother, but somebody you just got along with really well. Because if you have brothers, you guys are going to fight all the fucking time. So anyways, time goes on, they end up taking it back to their actual family. They got cleaned or whatever. And I move out of my parents' house at 18 because me and them were butting heads about all kinds of stupid crap. And I move up to Rapid City, and I stay with another cousin who's not Native American. And he's just, on my mom's side. So I'm up there, we're hanging out, and we're at his aunt's house. So I'm going to school in a town called Newell, South Dakota, which is 45 minutes from Rapid, but Rapid's the second biggest city that we have here. So it's pretty great. But I'm at his aunt's house. I'm doing laundry that, it's been like a week since I did laundry. So I'm down in the basement and my mom calls me. She says, hey, tells me his name. I'm like, yeah, he committed suicide. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Wow.
No, they found him in his closet. He had wrapped a bed sheet around his neck and just dropped his knees.
Jeez.
He wanted to go.
Dang.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ, and teenagers as it is are already hot blooded. And I was pissed. I was hurt and I was mad. So like, I remember hanging up the phone with mom. My blood is boiling. I was in this basement of my cousin's aunt's house. No relation to me, this woman. She was on his other family side, whatever. Really nice lady. And I grabbed the basket with all my dirty clothes on it, and I just hung it across the room. I'm pissed. I don't want to talk to anybody, and I go upstairs.
Right.
It's my cousin, his girlfriend, her brother, a couple other friends were there, and then his aunt was there. It's her house, obviously. So I go up there and like, hey, Bert, and I'm just like, whatever, hey, what's up? And they're all like, try to talk to me. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, dude. And they're all like, Bert's in a really freaking bad mood. I don't know what his deal is, because not like I told anybody what's going on. So they're like, we're just going to go in the back room, whatever. I'm like, don't give a shit. I'm just going to sit here. In my mind, I'm just going to sit here and watch whatever the stupid TV program is that's on that she's watching, his aunt. And I'm just not going to talk to anybody. I'm already pissed off and I just want to deal with his crap. So they all go to their back room and she asked me, hey, what's going on? Whatever it is, we don't have to tell them anything about it. And I'm like, so I'm telling her the same story I'm telling you guys, I get this phone call. This guy that my parents had fostered for a long time, somebody I actually looked at as family and a good friend, committed suicide. And I start getting really emotional at this point. And she's just like, she's super chill. She's like, I understand, that's a terrible thing and life sucks sometimes. And I'm just like, yeah. But then I start getting this feeling like a burning sensation, almost like somebody staring. I don't know if you've ever been stared down or you've ever been into a fight, but somebody will look at you like, I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy from across the room. And I'm just like, man, I get that feeling. Somebody is eyeballing me. And she's listening and all this stuff. And I stopped talking. I was like, you ever get that feeling you're just being watched?
Wow.
And she's like, where? And I'm like, pointing to the kitchen. Now, to get to the basement, you had to go through the kitchen.
It's an odd question.
So I point to the kitchen. Yeah. She just said where, and I'm like,
right. That's a red. Okay.
Yeah, that was not the usual answer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where shit went crazy. It's the most paranormal thing I've ever seen in my whole fucking life. I point to the kitchen, and as soon as I point to the kitchen, she looks. As soon as she looks, all the cupboard doors start opening up. She had dishes on a dish rack in there. They just fucking went flying across the room. Cups, things are flying out, and I'm just pale. And I'm just like, what's going on? She very calmly, like my dad telling that guy, go look in the back room. Nobody's there. She's used to this. She gets up. She goes to this little cigar box thing she has on her shelf. She pulls out some sage and a lighter, and she's burning it. And she's just like wafting this thing like this, going into her kitchen, smoke going in. And almost like somebody turning off a faucet. All these dishes that are flying out this cupboard, stop. This cupboard, they're stopping. This cupboard, they're stopping. And whatever it is, she forces it down back into the basement. And she looks at me after she gets done and she closes the door. And she says, did you get emotional in the basement? I was like, yeah, that's where I got the phone call. I was pissed.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
she's that makes so much sense.
He says, that's where it's trying to attach itself to you. It knew that you were vulnerable. And I'm like, what? What is this thing? She said, as far as I could tell, it's a demon. That's all I could tell you. She's like, but it's not the first time I've encountered this. I'm like, at this point, I'm shaking. I'm very sweaty. I'm white.
Right.
And I'm just like, what is going on, And my cousin was dating a girl that she was fostering. They weren't related. Not a whole weird thing, but they come out and they're like, what's going on? And the thing from the basement was out here. And all the kids go, oh. Jeez. And I'm like, what? And she's like, her brother, one of the kids that's fostered her, it took him over at one point. And I'm not being mean to this lady. She's a heavier set lady. She said, I had to try and hold him down, but he picked me up off the ground. And this kid was bony. He was a little like 90 pounds, sopping wet kind of kid.
Wow.
He picked me right up off the ground. I had to perform an exorcism on him.
Jesus.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? She's like, yeah, everything's fine now. And I was like,
it's still there though.
Yeah, it's just in the basement.
They just keep it at bay down there.
Yeah.
You got to get it out.
I could take you right to that house. I know exactly where it was because I took her, Cassie, to that house after I told her the story. She's like, I don't want to go there. I was like, well, I want to visit her and say hi to her. So I did. And she was super nice. Like, hey, how's it going? I was like, is it still down there? She's like, yeah.
That's
well,
crazy.
It's feeding off that anger, Burton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You have that traumatic experience, and then it's just like the vampire of dark energy where it's, it's just pulling that, powering itself up. And then it's able to, open all the doors of the cabinets, start throwing everything around.
It was throwing a fit that it got caught. It was weird because, like I said, I felt like a burning, like just somebody staring me down. It was like the most intense feeling. I've been in fights before in high school and afterwards and stuff like that. And like that is like the most intense I've ever been stared at in my whole fucking life. And I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's really wild.
But it also shows, Burton, how powerful you might be, brother. You've got that kind of energy down there that can power something like that. I'm just saying that's something that I don't know if you've ever felt that about yourself, but
you've got a lot of encounters too.
Might be something to that where you have some kind of ability with energy, or I don't know. It just seems interesting that
that was 2008, and I believe she has moved since then. But I would be very interested to visit the people that live there now.
Dude, let me know if that happens. I'm pretty good at cold calling. If you can get a contact. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't want to be the guy walk up to your house like, demon in your basement, and they'll be like, what?
And and then there's like nothing that happened. But sometimes they follow people. She never had any issues afterwards. When she moved,
I don't know.
When the family moved, it'd be interesting to see if anything's happened because they're not localized a lot of times. They'll hitch a ride with you. We've talked about this on the show.
I don't know how it works. I mean, I fully believe like Stir of Echoes, like there's that imprint, there's the
but demons is a different ball game. Though.
Demons, it sounds a little bit different.
Yeah, it's not connected to the house, or a lot of times it's the.
I don't know a lot about demons.
I don't know either, but. Like there was a follow-up that happened, which is kind of silly in a way. Like this last year, I was sleeping like in the living room, fell asleep kind of situation. And I have this dream where somebody comes out to me and they're like, hey, I need you to come see this girl. She's in the hospital and she's dying and she wants to talk to you. And I'm just like, why? And she's like, well, the whole paranormal thing. And I'm like, I don't know, but it's a dream. So I'm like, whatever. So I go in this. I know it's a dream at this point, and I go to this hospital, and there's this girl. She's in the bed, and she's dying, right? But like her family's surrounding her, and at one point she sits up. She's like, "I'm fine." And like I'm staring at this girl because she looks almost familiar. I'm like, "How's this girl seem like I know who she is, but I don't know who she is?" And she stops and she looks at me like, "You look familiar." And she stops. She look at me again, like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And then she stops. She gets this big smile, like her mouth goes super wide and she gets this big smile and she says, "Oh, I remember you." And in my dream, all I remember is that stuff flying off that shelf and that feeling and that look that she was giving me was like the same look that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And in my dream, I just said, "Hey, fuck you." And like, it was really weird because not too long after that, I kind of woke up. It was like, I know I don't really believe in the whole 3 a.m. thing, but it was 3 a.m.
Yeah, sure.
Cassie was sleeping in the bed. She woke up in a panic. So I don't know what it was, but something, I'm freaking out. And I was like, what? So I had this terrible dream where I encounter this thing again. And at the same time, she wakes up, at the same time I wake up, 2 different rooms. She said, I don't know, something's wrong. I woke up and she was just panicked. Wow. I don't know what it was.
That's creepy.
So at that, I was like, what is going on here? Is this thing trying to find me or what the hell is this? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Getting at you through your dreams.
For sure, man.
That sounds like Holosky too with Cemetery X and the whole like craziness.
Oh, yeah.
That it gives me chills even like thinking about some of those stories and like this moment because once it's like I don't even have the safety in my dreams anymore, you can get over to that aspect like that. Yeah. I need somewhere to run. I need somewhere to be able to hide and get my rest and come back and fight another ghost.
That's some Freddy stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Freddy,
I didn't think about that.
Fall asleep.
Jeez.
That's where it starts. Then it comes into comes into this reality.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I'm going like, okay, I'm having like the Friday the 13th or whatever, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I'm going to fall asleep and fall into this.
Yeah.
That's what it is with sleep paralysis too, though. A lot of times when you have that, like you wake up from it. But the crazy thing is, when you fall asleep again, you're like, anytime I've ever had it, I'm really like not thrilled to fall asleep again. But the crazy part is, it's going to happen almost like as quick as possible, because your mind is still in that state, and then when you fall asleep, you go right back into those dreams a lot of times.
That's right. Yep.
And it's like, oh God, I just fell right back into it. It's like Stranger Things, like through the ceiling into the trailer.
I experienced that for the first time last month.
Really?
Yeah, sleep paralysis.
Yeah,
first time.
Oh wow.
Go ahead.
I never experienced it until last month. I was laying in bed. No, it was like I was laying on my side, and I felt something crawling on my bed.
Oh yeah.
And I was the only one in bed at the time. And I'm like, I'm trying, like, at this point, I'm awake. I'm calm, but my heart is racing, and I can feel my heart. And I'm like, something's on the bed. And I try and turn around, and I can't move. And I'm telling myself, look, there's something there. You got to look. And I'm like, trying to force myself. And I'm trying to force myself, and I can't move. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, is this really happening right now? And it was happening. I was wide awake, but I could not move, and my heart was beating. But at the same time, in my mind, I was calm. Until finally, I'm just like, God damn it, you got to look. And I'm like forcing myself, and I force myself, and I finally get over, and I can move fine then. And whatever was on my bed stopped moving. It was not there anymore. And I'm just like, what in the hell was that? And
sleep paralysis.
Was that sleep paralysis?
Oh, yeah.
It was sleep paralysis.
But why is it always there's an entity holding you down? That's the weird thing about it.
That goes back to like the incubus and the weight on the chest. And it's a phenomenon that's been around for quite a while.
But I'll sit there and I'll be like, I can do it. I can do it. I'm going to move my arm. And then as soon as you can actually break through and move, then it all stops.
Yeah. I usually am trying to like just say a name or like scream for somebody, and I can't. I can get is just like
my sleep paralysis always involved being pulled up, like my soul being pulled out of me and then being lifted up almost like into the air. And it's like your body's still there, but it's your energy is like being pulled up was the sensation. And I remember just going like, and this would happen. This has happened, I don't know, 20 times or more, the exact same kind of sensation. And then you just break through, and then all of a sudden it stops and you wake up. It's almost like you wake up. Yeah. And then it's a different state of consciousness.
Functional
again. Like you're awake, but you're kind of in a dream state.
I don't know that I've ever really had a fighting mechanism to it. It's just more of like, I think like Berton, where it's like, I fight. You're awake to where you think, man, I should be able to turn my head, and you can't. And the more you keep thinking about it, the longer it's just like there becomes a threshold to where like I think that's when your brain comes online and finally goes, okay, you are awake, you're aware, I'll let you start moving your body now again. But like up until then, I don't, and maybe it's because when I was a kid I had it happen too, but like I never had it. I just know that I know that I can't do anything until I'm allowed to do something. Yeah. It's the only way I can put it, like, because I've tried to break out of it, or I've had enough of those moments, like, but don't get me wrong, I'll still have them now to where I wake up and I am freaked out. Like, my wife woke me up the other night and, like, gently woke me because in my dream I was, like, screaming, right? Like, to me, I woke up really comfortable. Like, she's, like, rubbing my chest and just being like,
oh, everything's good.
And I woke up, I was like, man, I feel like $1,000,000.
But you're like, that's awesome.
And she goes, you remember what you were dreaming about? I was like, no. Was it good? Was it like waffles and bacon or something? Because like, and she's like, no, you're literally like screaming in your sleep. And I was like, no, I don't like that. Yeah. That sounds bad. And I went back to bed, right? And by the next morning, it was in that window of like, you're not awake, you're not asleep. And I forgot about it. So she even texted me the next day and was like, do you remember? And I was like, I forgot about all of that. So like, then I was like, oh yeah, you woke me up real nice. And then I was like, oh, but I was having a nightmare.
You can ask my dad. When I was in high school, we were like playing football, working out a lot. Yeah. I had a dream that I was fighting tons of these people, just putting up this fight. And my dad's waking me up going, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? And I wake up, I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, you just ripped the heating register off the wall. I ripped the electric heating register off the wall.
Oh, yeah.
and like he had to disable it, and I just went right back to sleep. And then the next day, Mom's like, "Look what you did! You ripped the hole. Like, calm down." I'm like, I don't know. I just
going full Dalen Brennan.
Oh man, I was like, but I was in my dream. I was like fighting for my life. From what I remember.
Yeah.
But why was I just pulling something off the wall? That never made sense to me. It's very.
My
strange.
brother one time in my dream, I had a dream that my brother was trying to like get in my face and just pissing me off, and I took a swing on him in the dream, and I woke up and I was hitting the wall next to my bed, and my mom and dad came in. They're like, "What happened?" I was like, "I just hit the wall." And I'm like, "That's what woke me up." And they're like, "Why?" I was like, "I thought it was my brother. I thought
yeah.
I had a dream he was in my face, so I hit him." And they're like, "Jesus Christ." It's crazy, man.
You ever have those dreams where you lose your coordination?
Oh God!
You're playing sports or basketball, and you like can't dribble the ball. You can't run. You can't have the simple basic motor functions. It's like, I know how to dribble a basketball.
Yeah.
I know how to shoot a basketball. Yeah. I know how to walk and run.
Yeah, I never have dreams about being in the NBA. I don't have good coordination in real life, and it's even worse in my dreams.
Oh yeah, it's
the frustrating ones of not being able to run, or like you're in a fight and like you're throwing like the slowest punch in the world. It's
oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
Man. And you will
That's terrible.
To be like a powerful punch, and you're just like, oh come on, just I always try to will my way.
It's not a good slogan, like, live your dreams. Like, my dreams kind of suck. Like, I'm a wuss. I'm terribly uncoordinated. Like, that needs to be a movie.
Well, some of my dreams are amazing.
Well, some of
flying dreams.
Flying dreams are the best.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, those are cool.
Or a great dinner. I like dreams about food. Not gonna lie.
You need to eat more, sir. You're too skinny. Me and
dreams are weird.
Yeah.
So awesome. My brother, the one I haven't mentioned, the one I have mentioned, but he's just a year older than me. He used to sleepwalk, and he had it mapped out where he could sleepwalk, go take a piss in the middle of the night, totally asleep.
Oh yeah.
Back to bed, no problem.
Oh yeah.
One day he fell asleep in the living room.
Yep.
And he took a stroll into our porch where we had the wood stove, pissed right in the ash bucket. And everybody's like, "What's Harold?" Or oh God, there's his name. Bleep that out if you can.
Well, that's
what's
he doing?
Yeah.
Burton,
everybody keep your mouth quiet.
It's like Hagrid. Like, I wasn't supposed to say that, was I?
I wasn't supposed to say that.
Shouldn't have told you that.
But
we can bleep exactly. It out. We can bleep it out.
That's hilarious.
But then we stayed at my grandparents' house and fell asleep in the living room.
That's funny.
And the brother Henry, who goes hunting. I already mentioned his name. He's fine. He wakes up to our other brother standing over top of him, holding it in his hand, ready to go right on his head.
No.
And he wakes up. No.
Oh,
he stops. And he wakes up and he's like, "What?" And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't know." And they had to take him to the bathroom. Like, God, man, you were not going to work out.
I'd wake you up. He didn't get it, thank God.
Yep.
I'd wake you up.
He didn't get it.
I'd ring that bell. If I would have woke up to that, and my brother, I won't say his name. I've got 3 of them, so it's not one of them. But I have a family member. It could be my sister Jamie now. Well, it's not her.
It's not physical.
Anyhow,
I know what story.
One of them. Jamie didn't do it.
You're failing.
But one of them, was notorious for not having any kind of map, but just a random necessity randomly from time to time to, fill up his own shoe, or I think he tried to pee on his roommate's books in college a couple times, at the desk.
Oh, no.
Hey,
he had some very good, he had some very interesting takes on why it was okay, because it was, clear. And it wouldn't have an odor or this or that. And we're like, I mean, he'd
drinking.
He'd go right back to bed, and we'd tell him what he did. No idea.
Yeah.
God, it was funny.
Oh, man.
Don't worry about it. Awesome. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I'm like, hey, man, it's your shoes. I'm just,
we're all over the map on this one. I like these kind of episodes. Though.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is fun, man. This has been so
good. Yeah. I like this.
Burton, I had a question for you. We're into ancient civilizations, lost technology. Here in Ohio, we have mounds and earthworks. Yep. Is there anything around where you live? Is there petroglyphs? Is there any kind of like ancient history or anything that you've kind of run into or dug up in that world?
The Badlands of the South Dakota themselves.
Been there.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Love it.
My dad used to tell me stories of, you see the rock in the Badlands, you see the different colors, and you see red embedded in the rock, which is obviously just a different style of rock. But my dad used to tell me the legends of that's how it's the blood of our ancestors that's buried in the soil that lost at war and stuff like that. And the people that died at war, and that's their blood. And that's like one of their, the stories that natives tell to other natives. And in my research, and I actually found this one from another guy who I met at Van Meter. He's a pretty well-known paranormal expert, I would say. Have you guys seen that show with William Shatner, The Unexplained?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Lewis.
Yeah.
He's on there. I met him. Great guy. Oh, just amazing. And I was watching some of his videos, and there's this thing called the Banshee of the Badlands. And supposedly out in the middle of the Badlands, which I've been to a million times, everybody, has been here, has gone out there, and I've never seen anything, but supposedly there's a legend affiliated with the Badlands in that area around Dakota that there's some kind of a banshee woman thing that will scream at you, and it's accompanied by like a walking skeleton. Yeah, like there's a whole thing on it. I don't know. But
I did not see that, but I'm glad I didn't know about that, or that my wife didn't know about it. Maybe my dog saw it because he got freaked out a couple times.
Oh, dude, there are so many like. Oh, there's. Anyways, there's that one. Then in Sioux Falls, which is like an hour from me, there are burial mounds, Native American burial mounds that nobody's really like. They have a park around it, and then they have that kind of like fenced off, kind of. You could still go up there if you really wanted to. Somebody goes on there and they mow it. Yeah. But there are these big mounds of Native American bones and stuff supposedly buried on there. Yeah. And they say that it's haunted, and you can hear like screams at night, or like war cries and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a whole thing to go down there. So there are a few interesting. Yeah. I wonder the areas around like the town hall reports of that specific area, if there's any town hall reports of people digging into them in the 1800s and if they found anything. Yeah. I'll sidebar with you on that because I'd like to know more about those mounds. Generally that's on this side of the Mississippi. Right. So that's always interesting to hear. Mounds in North Dakota, South Dakota, and the Dakotas. South Dakota. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Deadwood, South Dakota. Obviously the HBO show Deadwood's based off that, and there's old cowboy western stuff. The crazy thing about that town, which I still love to hear about, is people will be like doing renovations in their backyard. Like, I want to put a pool in, so I'm going to dig, this area by this area. And it wasn't even like a few years ago that they're still finding human remains. Oh yeah, from back in the day. Like, oh god damn it! Now I got to get the cops involved because I just found Potato Sack Johnny or whatever his name was. And
Potato Sack Johnny.
There's actually a guy buried by Wild Bill called Potato Sack or Potato Creek Johnny or something like that. That's
awesome.
And he's famous for finding the biggest gold nugget in the Badlands. Oh wow. Yeah. That's cool. And like he got so famous from it, he got buried next to Wild Bill. So I was like, that's kind of crazy.
That
almost got
Bill Hickok. That must have been a serious nugget.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
We almost got attacked by a mountain lion up there because my dumbass thought, it'd be a great place to ghost hunt is the Mount Moriah Cemetery in Deadwood. And we could do it in the middle of the night because it's, totally free. Yeah. And like, if you go there during the day, they actually you have to pay to get in. It's kind of weird because it's a cemetery, but
charged to go to a cemetery.
Yeah, because it's like Wild Bill, Calamity Jane,
it's a tourist stop. It's
probably
a
like tourist thing.
You probably got to put
a parking
crazy
lot.
You pay to go in the parking lot or something. You
go to the parking lot, then you to enter whatever you get like a little map and a newspaper and all this crap of back in the day. And anyways, we go there. It's late at night. I'm talking like damn near midnight, and I'm like, it's August. I'm thinking we'll go up there because there's this whole thing about the Bullock Hotel being haunted, and Seth Bullock says he could see Teddy Roosevelt's fucking monument from his grave. Is a whole Unsolved Mysteries episode. And I was like, oh man, that means that maybe possibly his grave itself is haunted. So we start, and it's all uphill. This cemetery, it sucks. It's great. It's a great cemetery. It sucks to hike.
Yeah.
So take your time when you go out there. It's beautiful.
It's all uphill.
But
make sure you stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we park in the parking lot. I'm like, all right, nobody's here. Totally good to go. We start making our way up. We get about maybe a quarter of the way up this freaking mountain thing, and I look at Cass and I'm like, I forgot the water jug at the car, and we're both already out of like. She's like, well, you better go get that water. I'm like, damn it. So now I got to hike back down this freaking mountain. So I go back, I get to the car, which is right by the entry thing. And there are people there now. There's an SUV parked out front. And I'm like, fuck. And I just know that they're going to be like cops. It's a black SUV and they're going to be like, you can't be here at night. And I'm going to be like, crap. But it's actually people that clean up the entryway thing where they sell all their tickets and stuff. And they take care of the tourist attraction part of it. Like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, good. And I'm like, is it cool if I ghost hunt up here? And he's like, yeah, go for it. I'm like, cool. And then as I'm walking up, he's like, just keep an eye out for the mountain lion. And I'm like, mountain lion? There's a mountain lion? He's like, well, some people recently said that they've seen one in the area, and it happens from time to time where there's a mountain lion. And I'm like, oh. And then this old lady pops her head out around the corner. Did you tell him about the mountain lion? And I'm like, do you think that there's a mountain lion? And mind you, this entire time, Cassie's been up the hill already on this mountain.
Yeah.
She's in the middle of the cemetery. I have the only light too, by the way. So she got like her phone out there. So this lady tells him, I was like, do you think there's a mountain lion? She's like, well, let me just tell you this. Usually this place is full of bunnies. And I haven't seen one in days. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. All right. So I'm thinking Cassie's up the hill. So I'm like, where Seth Bullock's grave is the furthest point on this mountain. And there's a little hiking trail that goes up there. And then there's a road that they take for maintenance. A little like gator thing could go up. I'm walking back up this thing and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this big ass spotlight I got for ghost hunting. And I'm going to aim it up there just to see if I see anything. And right where those two roads meet, I aim it up there. There's a mountain lion and he's staring at me.
Whoa.
And I'm like,
oh, okay.
Fuck. So I'm like, shit, this isn't happening tonight. So I'm like yelling, Cassie? And she's like not responding. I'm thinking, shit. So I go and I'm like keeping an eye on this thing the whole time because the whole thing, all you can see is just like little eyes reflecting and its ears. And I'm just like, shit, this thing is huge. And I was like, God damn it. And finally she's like, yeah, she's thinking it was the cops. So she didn't want to respond. I'm thinking she got freaking taken out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I was like, it's not happening tonight. She's like, is it the cops? And I'm like, those aren't cops. We're worried about the mountain lion. She's like, there's a mountain lion? And she's like, hauling ass at this point. And I'm like,
different level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, there's a mountain lion like right there. And she looks up and she doesn't see it because she's like, whatever. And she's like down the hill. And I'm like right behind her. But I had the light on that thing the whole time. And sure enough, it just kept eyes on me. Like if we had went up that to Seth Bullock's grave,
right,
it was going to be waiting for me as we got there.
Man, it's like the spirit of the mountain lions protecting Seth's grave. No one,
Thackeray Binks from Hocus Pocus grew up.
Right.
Oh man,
no one can enter. No one can enter.
Don't light the black flame candle.
You enter, you will not leave alive.
And of course, those people were down there like, "Are you guys leaving?" I was like, "Saw the mountain lion." They're like, "Oh, you did?" I was like, "It's right there." They're like, really get their flashlights out, looking. They're like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah, we don't need to ghost hunt this one at night."
Nope. Leave
Maybe
that for
that's a
day.
Return visit, but man, you're hiking all the way up there. It's like, dang it, we were so close. Mountain lion, what are we doing here? Well,
dude, it was such a beautiful night too. It was calm.
Nice
There was no wind. It was cool. The moon was out. Oh, it was nice.
And that's nice ghost hunting a night with them when the moon's out. You can see so much.
That's good hunting.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Yeah. No pressure.
Been so great. It's been awesome to get to know you. I know we've been kind of chatting online and
absolutely
have enjoyed you in our chats and and sidebarring on Instagram and just want to share the love for everybody. Go follow Berton. Check out what he's doing. Berton, if you want to take us away with, what you've been up to in terms of like where people can find you, how they can tap into your content, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. You can look up my YouTube channel, Local Legends Berton Moran. You can look up my podcast, which is on Spotify, basically all of them except iTunes, which I don't have yet.
Okay.
I don't have that set up, but the Local Legends Podcast. Follow me on TikTok at Bam Moran if you want. Instagram, Berton Moran. That should be about it.
Awesome. Do you have any other shows coming up or anybody else that you're going out and doing any hunts with or anything crazy like that to keep an ear out for?
There is a possibility that me and the Holosky podcast might be going to a haunted insane asylum at some point.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
So we'll see about that.
All right.
Oh, man. Let us know about that.
Yeah.
I want to be following that one closely because if you guys get on and do an episode, I need to if it's tuning in to a live stream, I need to hear that.
Right.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
You guys teaming up with those fellas. Hello.
Yeah.
If you guys ever want me back on the show, I'm 100% down to do this again. This is great.
Oh my God, bro. Yes, you are a part of the family as far as I'm concerned. I said,
I feel the same.
One of the original hitchhikers.
Yeah, 100%. Bert, I
like
that.
I like that.
I think Berton came across our show through Holosky when we did their episode and streamed that. I think that was the first one he tuned into was Holosky, and then
that seems like forever ago now, doesn't it? Even if
it does.
Just been a lot going on.
Well, we've done. I don't know.
Ever since then, I have been enjoying the content. You guys have been putting out a lot of work.
Thank you.
I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. So
appreciate that.
Absolutely,
you guys are awesome.
Mike and Kyle and Matt.
All
making all this happen, and
it's a team.
Shout out to the guys that I haven't talked to, but I've heard. Working behind the scenes there, you guys are doing awesome.
Yeah. We had them out here. What was it? When we were on DA's show the other week, they came out and we made them get on camera to kind of show who's all here, because
absolutely
we're the front facing of this, but there's a ton of back end work that is going on to make all this happen. Actually, it's funny that this came up. This is like a nice segue for me. I was thinking like my whole role. I'm like George Clooney from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, where somebody's like, just talk into this can. Just talk right here, bud. That's all we need you to do. Right here, just if you could focus.
Yeah.
I want to hear you sing that song now. That's a great song.
Oh, man.
He's a human jukebox.
We got a lot of songs.
Time will tell.
Going. Yeah.
Well,
that's awesome.
Berton, we're gonna send this baby off to sea.
Yep.
Stick around for just a second. We're gonna outro the show. Stand by. We're gonna be right back. Give you a proper goodbye. I know you got to get going. But man, this has been awesome, Berton Moran. Thank you so much. Everybody, go check out Local Legends.
Absolutely.
Fantastic stuff that he's got going on, and what great stories.
He's got the fire for it too.
This was the passion's there.
That.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again, Berton. Appreciate you. You're awesome, dude.
Guys.
I love
absolutely. And we're signing out. You guys can follow us at The Strange Road. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you like what we're doing, if you listen to our show, 5-star rating or bust would be awesome. We actually have had some incredible ratings and reviews. So we've been, asking, and if you guys like the show, rate us, and it's people are doing it.
I think the pot's starting to not boil, but it's it's going from a simmer to a little bit more of a we're not full on boiling yet, but we're definitely starting to hit some nodes where people are going and starting to put the dots together. I love when we had a comment from one person going, "Can't believe I just found you guys." We love that, but we're like us either. Like
we doing this.
We just started doing this.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Cracks me up.
But
I love it.
Instagram at Spiral. Sorry, that's my old. At Mikey Leisner, at Bub Ranley, at Kyle Stonard, at Matt Disborough. You guys can check us out.
Yep. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe.
Yes.
Kyle just put the images up.
All that stuff. And I don't think that we're forgetting anything. We appreciate the heck out of all you guys.
Drop us a line. Say what's up.
Yep. Hit us up.
We'll try to get back to you.
Thank you so much.
Promise.
We're out. Take us out, fellas.
Later.
That's a good one.